We've got an adjusted loss in the first quarter per share of $1.33. The estimated loss that we were expecting here, 82 cents. So that's a significantly wider loss than we were expecting. They're saying that there's a $4 billion worth of cash on hand heading into the second quarter. I've just picked up their statement as well. They're saying that the Model 3 is on track for initial production in July, that their gross margin on the automotives in the first quarter improved to 27.4. It's under generally accepted accounting principles, 27.8 non-GAAP. Guys, what are we thinking here? Significantly wider loss than expected.
And the stock still up by better than 2%, at least the early blush here.
David, it seems like, this is like the classic story stock with Tesla. None of these numbers really seem to matter. It's all about whether the story is intact with them and whether people still believe in Elon.
And they do. So, right. And you were pointing out the contrast between Facebook's extraordinary profitable business and Tesla's extraordinary money-losing business that is nonetheless valued at a massive amount. And it does have one of the best stories in business, not just in tech.
What they're saying here as well is that they're on track for their targets in the first half of this year, which was 50,000 cars. If we look at their target for 2018, it's 500,000 cars. Yeah. How do we get from...
That's the kind of thing that... That's the sort of... They used to talk about reality distortion fields about Steve Jobs, but Elon Musk kind of is the current master of that. He almost certainly won't produce 500,000 cars next year, but he will produce a lot more than he's doing this year, and people will still be impressed. That's the irony.
Also, known as CapEx, which we were just talking about as being an important number. Year-to-date capital expenditures slightly over $2 billion when Model 3 starts. So at some point, the numbers will matter. The amount of cash burn is perhaps an issue that shareholders will care about.
Yeah, Paul Sweeney, when we look at these Tesla numbers and the fact that they're going to increase CapEx slightly over $2 billion, for investors, is that good news? Is that something they applaud?
Yeah, typically with high-tech stories or high-growth stories in general, investors want to see management redeploy the capital back into their businesses. If these businesses can, in fact, put up these kinds of top-line growth rates, generally the returns on invested capital over those businesses over the long term presumably will be very strong. But at some point, companies need to rein in their expenses and try to drive income to the bottom line. But as we've seen from a lot of these large tech, high-growth companies, whether they're social media companies or even bigger companies such as Amazon. Amazon really does not deliver meaningful profits to its shareholders, yet investors are willing to bet on Jeff Bezos and the top-line growth story. And I think a lot of that is very similar here with Tesla in the early stages of its growth profile.
If we bring it back to Tesla, though, the share price here is based on the future. What does that look like? What can they achieve? The Model 3, they're saying, look, it's going to come in July. There was shock and awe when they said that because they weren't expected to be ready to do that in July. Is that even going to make money? Because if it comes at around $30,000 for the car, then it's kind of cheap. Are they going to be able to afford to do it for that level? If it comes up to the $50,000 price tag, then it's kind of not so cheap. And are they really appealing to the mass market? I wonder whether this kind of fictional issue that we've got with this company translates to the thing that's hopefully going to make them some money here.
If they could come out with a car for under $50,000, which I'm sure they will do, they will sell a humongous number of them. That is a given.
Humongous.
I would say, I don't know, as many as they can produce. Then they've said it'll be more in the range of the 30s. It probably means it's 39,999. But honestly, if they did that, I already have a reservation in for one, so I love the idea. But I know so many people who would buy this car.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know a million of them?
Maybe not a million.
Are there enough?
Maybe there are.
I think there are enough.
Or more.
I think there are enough.
You think there are enough?
We've got Bloomberg.